Hi everyone and welcome back to another Festive Fridays, and today I'm going for a big 6x6 card. I grabbed some of my products that I want to use in this card, so I will be using some of the ephemeras to make it look fuller, to create a cluster here and there, and I'm also planning to use some of these ribbons just to add a touch of shine on the background. And I'm going for a classic colored Christmas card. That's why I chose to play with pattern papers from this classic Christmas collection. I'm browsing through really quickly so you can see what's included. And for my background, I want to go with something neutral. So I'm going to use this pattern paper. And you can cut out a square out of it, either keeping some of the design on the sides or just go plain like I'm going to do here. And of course you can use either a die and your die cutting machine or just go ahead and use your paper trimmer. Now that I have my neutral square, I'm going to bring in the pattern paper again and I'm going to look for a background. So I'm trying to find something for the background that helps that stand out even more and it's not super busy. So I cut out again a square out of this green pattern paper, and this is a little bit smaller than 6x6. Now I'm using my coffee dye ink pad and I'm going to ink up a little bit the edges, just bring that brown on the edges. It's going to give that vintage look and feel. After all, I'm going with greens and reds for a very classic looking Christmas card. And because the beauty is in the details, I'm going to do lots of detailing here. So I'm using my scissors, the edge of my scissors, and just fraying the edges. There is a distress tool for that. If you don't have it, just use the scissors like I'm doing here. And then to add a little bit of interest on the background without turning it into looking too busy, I'm going to use some of this text from the ribbons. And I went with the white because it's going to show lovely against that green dark background. And notice that I'm not going to transfer it as it is. Instead, I'm going to press only in a few areas. I'm not even going for the perfect impression here. You see, I even tried to do that with my fingers. Anyway, I'm going to go for a very organic look and feel. And I'm going to use this piece again and again in different parts. Always mainly on the sides because that's the part where it's going to show. For a similar look, but if you want it to be even more bright, you can definitely go with heat embossing here and just heat emboss some text at the background. I'm going to stick my other panel slightly offset on top of it. And then I'm going to bring in my ephemeras. So this is one of the packs from my new collection. You will find lots of frames, letters, a couple of neutral colored flowers. You'll also find a couple of mailboxes, a white one and a red one, and the red is going to be the focal point for this card. So here are the ephemeras that I picked from this pack that I will be working with on my project. And I'm going to start by using my craft knife. I'm going to follow the line on the mailbox and I'm going to create a slit. This way I will be able to add inside one of the ephemeral letters. And then you can add even more than one letter inside if you like. You can even have flowers coming out of the mailbox. There are so many ways that you can use that and it doesn't have to be for Christmas. So I'm always going to ink up the edges. Keep in mind that all these ephemeras are actually stickers. You can peel off the backing and stick them down. However, you know that I like dimensions, so on most of them I will not be peeling off the backing, but I will be using foam tape at the back, and in some cases I don't like to peel them off because they don't allow me to stick them up and tack other things underneath. So it is really up to you. Use them as stickers or use glue at the back or even foam squares. So here, for example, in this frame, I want it to be raised. That's why I'm using foam tape at the back. And at this stage, you see, I'm just preparing all my ephemeras, making sure that I have them as I want them to be before I stick everything down. So here I'm playing with, again, another ribbon. And I'm going to cut out the sentiment, merry and bright, which I'm going to use for my card, instead of having to stamp a sentiment or using a die cut element for that. And I like the fact that it is nice and shiny, bright gold. It is really hard to catch on camera, but it is really shiny, and I think it is perfect for the look and feel that I'm going for. So now it's time to have some fun. Let's put the card together. I'm going to peel off the backing of all that foam tape at the back of this frame and place it on top, again on an angle just to make it look more interesting. And for the piece that goes on the inside, I'm just going to peel it off and place it back inside. And you see I end up having those layers, absolutely love those, and you can tuck things inside that frame or at the top. Now for the mailbox I am combining a little bit of glue as well as foam tape so that it is nicely leveled there. And then remember I have the slit so I can add the little envelope inside. If you want you can place it like this, it's not going to fall as easy. If you like you can take it out, write a little message here and turn it into an interactive mailbox. It's really up to you, or just stick it down. Now for some extra embellishments you can use the same pattern paper and fuzzy cut some leaves and foliage, etc. Or you can use the ephemera pack from the same collection. That's what I'm going with, just so that I make my life easier and I don't have to fuzzy cut and spend too much time. So I am going to play with some of these elements and just tuck them here and there. And this is the part where I can spend most of the time when I'm designing a card. I just play with all the ephemeras, try to decide where to place them, and although it looks really effortless in after video editing, trust me, it takes me a lot of time to decide where everything little bit is going to go. Sometimes I just place all the elements without sticking them, of course, on top of where I feel it looks good, then take a photo, and after that I take them all off and start layering and sticking them down. And also notice that I don't like to peel off the backing, since some of the elements are just sticking out and they are not going to lay flat directly on top of something else. So I absolutely love how it looks at the moment. Now let's go ahead and make the compositions look fuller, and my tip for that is to use the decorative chips. I tend to use them a lot lately. I find that they are the perfect finishing touch on a card, not only because they do add dimension, but at the same time they are not as thick. They are even thinner than a foam tape. So they do add something extra, but at the same time they don't add bulk. Also you can use embossing powder on top of them if you like. You can also color them if you want. I like usually to use them as they are in the neutral color because they don't add an extra color on my project and they don't make it look more busy. And usually if you notice I don't tend to use them as they are. I like to cut out bits and pieces out of the original design to make it my own. It's super easy to cut them out with your scissors. And now, completely optional, but if you like splatters, you can go ahead and add some white splatters all over the place. These are going to read as snow. And finally, I'm going to bring in my gold contour liner. This is a brand new tube, so I need to open it up. Now, why I love this is that the product is never going to dry inside because air doesn't go inside the tube. At the same time, you will be able to use the whole product all the way to the end without having to squeeze too hard. The tip is super fun, so you can create details, you can outline some of your beautiful ephemeras there, you can do doodling, whatever you feel like. You can make borders. It is available in 4 colors and it is a part of my latest collection with Stamperia. And for this card I'm going to use it to add dots at the center of my flowers. And finally I'm going to place the whole panel on top of another cardstock, which is glitter golden cardstock, which is 6 by 6. So all I have to do now is to stick this in a 6 by 6 white card. I like to use a white card because it is easier for me to write my message inside. And you can see here some close-up photos on the card. I hope that you had fun today, that you got inspired. A list of all the supplies that I used can be found down below. Thank you all for joining me today and I'll see you all next time.